Good evening. This is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the president of United in Peace, Inc. And it's a very, very, very important time. Not just that it's the first day of Black History. But before I get off into it, let me do what I have to do if I intend on eating this good cooking from this woman. What I mean by that? What Gator is saying that this show wouldn't be possible without the chairman of United in Peace, Inc., who is the producer and the director of this show, none other than my wife, Miss Terry Marsh. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. I got a very important guest here. You know what I mean? There's so much happening, but I want to let everybody know, if you haven't heard, I made mention of it on the last show, about the fact that the Attorney General is looking into the sentencing of your nephew.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's powerful. You know, you're aware of the letter and how it happened, so I'm going to let you dive in after you introduce yourself to my listening and viewing audience. So, Pastor, let everybody know who you are.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks to Mr. Gator Bradley and United Peace for affording us this platform. I am Pastor Marvin Hunter. I'm the great uncle of Laquan McDonald.
Right. You knew about the Attorney General piece, and you want to share something. I'm glad you decided to come on my show before you let all the other shows and the news media know what's happening. I'm glad that you brought the news to the hood, because he's always in the hood. But explain to them what this letter is about.
Well, in previous interviews, we have begun to talk about what was the next step after the sentencing of Jason Van Dyke, and people were asking me, was I satisfied with what the Judge Gahn had done in this case by only giving 81 months in this particular case, and certainly I was not satisfied with it. I do maintain then and now that it is a victory, a small victory, because the first step to 1,000,000 miles is the first step.
Right.
However, I believe that the equivalent of what Judge Gahn had done was to say to the African American community here in Chicago and around this country that there were no laws on the books for a black man that a white man was bound to honor. In that being said, 12 jurors had convicted Jason Van Dyke for the murder of Laquan McDonald in these two areas. 1, 16 counts of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and also second-degree murder.
Now, the 16-shot piece, as you're aware, that's a Class X felony.
Yes.
And by law, that supersedes the second-degree murder.
Yes.
And by law, that judge was to sentence him on the Class X
Correct.
case. Okay.
Well, the second-degree murder in this case is a Class 1. Is a Class 1 sentencing. Class 1 sentencing, the problem with that in this particular case is a person can appeal and get parole. If they have favor, they can get probation. They can get probation. They can even get a bond. They can appeal and get a bond on Class 1. And so what the judge said in this case is 16 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and then I guess he added the mitigating circumstances, and he tried to supercharge it.
Right.
And so his language was, in order to have second-degree murder, you must prove first-degree murder. And so, which is true, they had to prove first-degree murder. But because this was a police officer in uniform, the judge then said that a second-degree murder came in, and he agreed with that. And here's what disturbed me about the entire case. He then said, nobody is going to be happy in this. Nobody is going to be happy, and if you don't like it, see me, is what he said. So here's what I'm ruling. I'm going to give 81 months, as if to suggest this was a federal case, because who ever heard of 81
months, right?
In a state case.
In a state case, right.
And so I'm going to give 81 months, and I'm going to rule on the second degree murder. And this is what disturbed me and sent up the red flags. He says, I am not going to rule on the aggravated battery, the 16 counts of aggravated battery at all.
At all.
So
but he had been found guilty for that.
But he had been found guilty by a jury.
That's right.
And so what he was really saying was that I'm just going to dismiss what the jury says. I am going to take it upon myself to be judge and jury. And that's what he was really saying.
You know, to our viewing audience, people that think that voting doesn't matter, what you need to know is being an educated voter really matters. What you mean by that, Gator? Okay. If Kwame Raoul, that's his name, correct?
Yes.
Hadn't been elected by the people that were educated voters to become the Attorney General, standing on law, whoever they were elected to become Attorney General outside of him wouldn't even have used the power of that office to right a wrong. So the family had the right to ask the Attorney General to look at this sentencing of this guy because it was wrong by law, case law. Not by some rumors, by the pastor or by Gator or by my friend, I got to give him a shout out, Mark Carter. You know, they always say he's a rabble rouser,
right.
You know, and his buddy Paul.
Right.
No, by law. And what I know is when Vodoliak had got sentenced, and the sentence was so light that the federal judiciary, the chief of the court,
correct,
came back and said, no, he should be charged more for the crime that he committed. And they brought Vodoliak back, resentenced him, and did it to the point where he couldn't even go back to the judge that had sentenced him the first time.
Correct. They have to start in order to do what we're doing here, what we are doing. Again, we had asked for this to be, to overturn.
Right.
And so they asked me, well, who do you think would be good to do it? Because what they're going to do is what's called like a mandamus.
Right.
A mandamus.
Right.
And that's something that is not used much, but it is a law.
It's the law.
And so the way this could be done, the Attorney General can do it.
Right.
Kim Foxx can do it.
Right.
The chief judge, I think, has some jurisdiction. You have to check that. I'm not an attorney. Right. But I believe he was able to do it. Or the family.
Or the family.
Can come
and ask for it. See what happened? The state's attorney can, but they had a special prosecutor. You follow what I'm saying? They turned to a special prosecutor. So the Attorney General bring it to the special prosecutor. What was his name?
Joe McMahon.
Joe McMahon. Okay. The mandamus, whatever the correct word is where other individuals sign on, the different community groups, everyone sign on to say, hey, we want this done. And the benefit of it is, had they not asked for it, have your family not asked for something to be right, and y'all knew it was wrong, it would have been swept under the...
Absolutely, absolutely. This whole trial, from beginning to ending, was a cover-up. From the moment they holstered their weapon, it became a cover-up. There are tons of things that did not even come into the court that was just wrong with this entire case. I want the world to remember that Laquan McDonald was not a kid that got on a bus and went over to 42nd and Kildare and decided that he just wanted to steal trucks, radios. First of all, he had a job. He was working as a construction worker, and he had been receiving checks. In fact, had he lived, he would have gotten his what we now know was his last check.
Right.
And there was enough money in that check. I bought his suit, his mother's clothes, his sister's clothes for his funeral. So why would you, knowing you get a check in just a few hours, go out and steal a radio that you're going to get $5 for?
Right.
And then travel almost 10 8 to 10 miles to get there. Laquan was kidnapped.
Yeah, and brought to
From my niece's house and taken to where he was at.
Right.
And that didn't come out in the courts, and that's not something that I want to argue at this time, but I just wanted your audience to understand that there are other things that were going on here, and which is why we fought as a family so hard. We cannot leave ourselves open as a people to where they can take our children away from us and do these things
they want to do.
and then write the story that they want to write about our children.
You know, and the wonderful thing, I'm glad you brought that up. When the world saw the defense lawyers come with that bogus tape that they created to tell us the video that you saw really didn't happen, here's a video that we put together and say this would happen.
It's called demonstrative, a demonstrative video.
Video. And the thing is, the arrogance of the whole piece of corrupt officers, not all police officers. We talking about corrupt officers.
Right.
Okay.
Group
There's a small group.
Yeah.
And they got names and they got faces. Even when they found that those 3 officers were acquitted for knowing that they had lied and covered up the murder of Laquan McDonald. Then the next day, they come with that sentence. And like you said, that's the first time anybody, and I'm an ex-felon, has ever heard a judge say, giving you time in months. They give you 4 to this, or they give you 4 years in a day, or they give you 5 years, or they give you 2 years.
In a state trial.
In a state trial. The thing about it, people, is this. Everybody's screaming about criminal justice reform. And it is happening right in your face. That's why this election, February 26th, is so important.
It's very important. It's very important.
Okay?
It's very important.
You know, it's very important.
Now, we're in a great time because we have an African-American state's attorney. We have we're on trajectory to have an African-American mayor if we pull together and unify ourselves.
Right.
We also have an African-American chief judge.
Right.
And,
Attorney General.
And we have an African-American
Attorney General.
Kwame Raoul.
Right.
Yeah, and Kwame Raoul, Attorney General of the state of Illinois. Now, I want to say that shout out to Attorney General Kwame Raoul because he stepped up to the plate and said that, yes, we hear the family,
right,
and we want to look into this. We're going to do an investigation, and if we find it warranted that we could move forward, we are going to move forward. Now, there is a meeting that is going to happen with the prosecutor and the state's attorney surrounding this, and we will know tomorrow exactly where the state's attorney stands in this. All of the indicators said that he is going to move forward,
right,
and helping us to get a resolve as it pertains to this issue. Certainly, this judge has broken the law. We believe there was case law that he could have used and he could have relied on,
right,
that could have helped him to bring about a sentence that matched the crime that Jason Van Dyke did. But under pressure from the FOP,
right,
under pressure from the Chicago Police Department,
right,
those police officers that were in that courtroom, mean mugging them and whatever else could happen. You all got to understand, I want to say this, and you didn't know this, but I've received death threats. I've received letters in the mail that I've now turned over to the FBI with people wanting to kill Reverend Hunter.
Right.
As if to suggest I was a police officer, I'm a prosecutor, I'm a judge. There's nothing that I could do to put Jason Van Dyke in jail. If you want to kill Reverend Hunter, then you're mad at me for voicing my opinion.
Right.
And I'm going to do that because we're in America.
Right.
And I have a First Amendment right to speak what I want to speak, to say what I want to say, and you don't have a right to censor me.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I get that from time to time, and I used to worry about that, and then I realized what what happened to Martin Luther King, to Malcolm X, to the people that fought for us to have the right to vote. And you go on and on and on. Matty Lou Heyman. You fatty, right. And the thing is this, man. It ain't so much about us as it is about our children and our grandchildren that have no idea of the struggles of those that struggle for us to have the rights. And it's like this. Truth be told, we all gonna die.
Yeah.
But we got to right or wrong when God said right or wrong. And this, what they doing, is wrong. Okay? And the case in point, when you see individuals that's pushing Bill Daley to become mayor, and they know, me put this on your, not just African Americans, whole city of Chicago really don't want another Daley as the mayor. But African Americans surely don't want a Daley to have say-so over this decree that the judge just passed, just approved.
Which was a major victory.
Right, with a major victory. Surely you don't want a Daley who didn't say nothing when his brother was involved in covering up the police torture of John Burns, and we seeing him coming out the penitentiary every day. And could you imagine Daley supporting the changing of the Fraternal Order of Police contract?
Can I talk about that a moment?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, in order for us to get meaningful police reform, we must take away the tools that allow them to do the things that they do. The FOP contract is drawn up from an act that comes from Springfield.
That's right.
Called the Uniform Peace Officers Disciplinary Act.
That's right.
The Uniform Peace Officers Disciplinary Act. That particular act is where they get the meat or the teeth for the FOP contract.
That's right.
That is where I believe that the civil rights of African American people are being violated in the area of the 4th Amendment and the 14th Amendment.
That's right.
Especially in the 14th Amendment in the area of substantive due process. So take a look at that. But when you look at that particular act, if we can change the Uniform Disciplinary Peace Officers Act, then what we would do is we would put the city council in a place where they can now create a contract for the FOP for the city of Chicago that will be respective of the rights of African American people.
Right. That's right.
The reason why they are unable to really give us a contract that is respective of our rights is because the law in Springfield says that the Fraternal Order of Police can do what they say do. And the way that they have written the FOP contract up, and you should Google it and read it, you'll see that contract gives no power to the administration of the Chicago Police Department.
That's right.
Right now, Eddie Johnson cannot fire a police officer. I don't care what he does.
What do he do?
If we change the FOP contract, then Eddie Johnson and all of those other people that have
police board
a voice in the police department, that the administration will have the authority to reprimand and even fire police officers. Listen, Jason Van Dyke had 20 CRs.
Yeah.
A CR means reports and complaints against him from citizens. And those citizens were all African American, some Hispanic. And they all had racial language that was racially charged language that was put to him. It was all abusive, and they never took him off the force. Had he been reprimanded when he got to the 7th CR, Laquan McDonald would still be alive.
Be alive.
But it couldn't happen because of the
way that
the
was
FOP
written.
contract.
And like you were saying, the aldermen with the new administration coming in will have a right to help them negotiate a fair contract by merely saying police officers now got to be responsible for paying the settlement suit if we have to take it out your pension.
Well, the problem with it is this. That's one thing. But what we must understand, this contract is very important and it needs to be changed. Not the FOP contract going after it. See, if we go out to city council, all we're dealing with is the FOP contract.
Right.
We have to get to Springfield.
Right.
And go after the legislation.
Right.
In fact, I talked to Mr. Pritzker, the new governor, and he says if we can get some legislation on his desk,
Right.
and that made sense, that he would gladly sign it because he sees problems in
Right.
it as well. It needs to be challenged and it needs to be changed.
I'm like this because we, the people, got the power to do it by letting our legislative body know that this is what we want done now that we know what is wrong.
And listen, Brother Bradley, they are putting together a campaign to debunk what I am saying that no, that act in Springfield ain't got nothing to do with the FOP contract. That is not true. Any legislator that says to you that I am wrong about what I'm saying, you don't need to retain them because they are the enemy.
Right.
Because they want to keep it there. Can I just give them one example?
Yeah, come on. No, come on.
When you read the Uniform Peace Officer Disciplinary Act, when you read it, there is a line, and I wish I had it in front of me now, that says that if a police officer is found to have committed a crime and you discipline him, do you know he cannot be interrogated unless an FOP union representative is in the room?
Right.
Now FOP
not a lawyer.
Not a lawyer. Not a lawyer. It have to be FOP. He can be there. His lawyer can be there, but you can't interrogate him unless his FOP union steward is in the room.
Right.
Now this is a criminal matter, not a job matter. Why do you need a FOP union boss in the room when you've been accused of a crime?
Right. Correct.
So, the next thing that's in there that's wrong, if you're a woman and a police officer rapes you, before they can interview the police officer, you have to give him all of your information, where you live,
right, that's right,
your phone number, your address, your real name. He has to have all of that information.
So it makes it easy for him to come and intimidate.
Before they can interrogate him, they have to give him that information according to the Uniform Disciplinary Police Officers Act. It's terrible. We must change these things.
Right. Caller, I see you calling. Could you please state your name?
Yeah, this is James. Okay, you know the people in the media, right? Now, they don't call Jason Van Dyke a suspect and a murderer. And I hope God, I pray to God they overturn the sentence on him.
Right. Hey, you know what? You said the operative word. Prayer do help when you walk by faith and put in works like what we're doing today by informing you what can be done and what we must do as a people. You follow what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And the election that's coming up on the 26th is the start. You follow what I'm saying? Okay?
Yeah.
And when we see how what they're doing is suppressing the black vote, just like I was informed today that Congressman Rush endorsed Daley. Man, he got a right to do what he wanted to do. But that one was hard for me to really understand when I remember Bobby as a Black Panther. I remember Daley's being involved. I ain't talking about Bill Daley or Richard Daley, but their father, okay, was the mayor at the time where Hanrahan and them people went in there and they killed Fred Hampton and Mark Clark, and they was trying to kill Bobby Rush. And I remember when the pastors got Bobby Rush, Father Clemens, and Reverend Jackson them to protect him.
Wow.
When we as a people, and it's in the paper every day, what Daley did as a state's attorney, knowing full well what was happening with John Burge and Chicago police officers, torturing individuals, African American men and some Hispanics that's coming out every day, and they guys that did 25 years, 30 years. It was Daley's. Okay? Then when we see from the point where they nephews they get the pension money because Mayor Daley, the second Mayor Daley, made sure that they got the pension money.
Yeah.
To do investments. And how I know? I'm reading in the paper. I'm reading the Sun-Times. Sun-Times do an intensive story about it. And they bring it up here recently. Okay? Since Bill Daley put his name out there and say he was going to run. Okay? So then we seeing the deals about the parking meter deal and how the people in Chicago realized that they got robbed.
The tollway.
The tollway. So the thing becomes this. And I want people to understand. Bobby Rush is a man. He can do whatever he wants to do. But pushing Daley, endorsing Daley, you want us to erase the black history? How can we erase the black history of all the things that this man has done to fight for us as a people?
Good question. I want to say that because what you've talked about, and you've always talked about is meaningful police reform and how we need it. And you just gave critical history about how we've been treated as a race of people in the city of Chicago.
Right.
When this trial first started and I did the first interview, one of the things that I made sure that I wanted the world to know, because I knew the world knew was there, was that the entire Cook County criminal justice system was corrupt.
Right.
Then the Obama Justice Department came here and proved that.
Right.
They said exactly what I said, and from that, then we obtained what is now known as a consent decree.
Correct.
And so,
could you explain?
Yeah, the consent decree, and I am so happy that they have approved the consent decree, and now we have a federal judge and oversight that will be here for 5 years. However, remember, after 5 years, that consent decree goes away, and we are supposed to have gotten ourselves together, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it is imperative that we call our state representatives, call our senators down in Springfield, and we need to say to them that what we want is the Uniform Peace Officers Disciplinary Act to be reviewed and changed. We want the draconian laws that are in there that are oppressing and allowing black people to be killed and nothing done about it to be taken out of there. We call them Jim Crow laws.
That's what they are.
See, you got to know that Jim Crow was a law. When they were hanging people and doing those things down south, that stuff was law. They wasn't breaking any laws. And to this day, there's still no laws on the books federally for hanging. There really still no laws on the book.
Right.
I want to just, if I can read this.
Please.
Now, here it is. It's chapter, I'm getting old. Real quick though.
Go ahead,
Chapter 85, part 25, 56, section 3.3 of the Uniform Disciplinary Peace Officers Act. I just want to give you one example. I did a forensic audit of this thing, and here's what I came up with. It says, interrogations shall be conducted at a reasonable time of day when the officer is on duty. If we allow this to stay in there, then here's what that simply means. This creates a barrier for the interrogator to adequately interview the officer in a timely manner, that committed the crime in a timely manner, and helps the officer to fabricate his story. I.e. the 3 officers they just let go.
Right, that's right.
So what happens is if an officer commits a murder and then they bring him in to interrogate him and he get off at 5 and they start interrogating him at 4:49.
They got to start interrogation.
At 5 o'clock. And he get to go home.
Right.
Not to jail.
Right.
He get to go home, still a police officer. And then he can come back. And then they do it. And then with the FOP contract, I think they got 72 hours before they can get their story together, before they can get it together. It's wrong. We need to call all of our elected officials. Matter of fact, Brother Gator, you have inspired me to do something here. I think I'm going to post the forensic audit of the Uniform Peace Officers.
You should. Send it to me and I'm going to share it. That's what you do. Yes, I will.
I will send
you can send it to me.
Yes, sir.
You send it. And one of the things is this. All of us, this is my challenge. We talk about the J-Lo challenge and the Snoop Dogg challenge. This is Gator and Pastor Hunter's challenge. When we send this out to people that's on our Facebook pages, on our Twitter pages, and on our emails, we asking you to share it and challenge the elected officials that represent you to help come up with the legislation so that the new governor that has an interest to make things right and better for the citizens of Illinois.
Yes.
We can do it. We become the black media.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And this is something that we got to do. I'm so passionate about all this. That's why I speak a lot about the elections and one's responsibilities. I got a great grandson that's 10 years old. He have no knowledge 10 years later. If we don't make these moves to change these laws when we got the chance to do it by God, I won't be here, but my heart is saddened because I know what's going to happen to him.
And my prayer is, Brother Bradley, is that we do something as a people about this so that your grandson would not have to face a Jason Van Dyke.
That's right.
He would not have to face a Judge Benson Gone. He would not have to face a criminal justice system that is geared to send black men to jail. Listen, as I close, because I see we're out of time, one of the things that made me so angry about the 3 police officers that got off from the lies that they told was simply this. When a police officer tells a lie on a black man and gives him a Class X felon, he's not putting him in jail. He's putting him in slavery. The 13th Amendment of the United States of America says when a black man goes to jail and receives a Class X felony, he reverts back to being a slave and is therefore due to be paid slave wages. Ladies and gentlemen, we must get this changed, but it gets changed through participation. I want everybody to go and vote. I want you to go and vote. I want you to vote. Vote your conscience, vote your interests, but vote. We need no black person to stay home. If you care about the Laquan McDonald incident and what has happened, and this injustice, this blatant injustice that has happened to us, the way to change it is to go to the polls.
Hey, we got to wrap it up, but before you go, I want to let you know that, hey, thank you. And it's an honor seeing your First Lady again, and to know that she's a Terry like I got a Terry. On that note, we want to say to God be the glory.
Thank you, to God
we are
be the
blessed
glory.
men.
Thanks for the platform. Thank you.
Hey, the next thing I'm going to get off into is, are we ready for reform?
Awesome. Oh my God.
I want to say, yes, we are. When you see that the consent decree, and you heard me earlier talking about the importance of being educated voters, I personally don't see no other candidate that's sincere by their actions to criminal justice reform outside of Toni Pratt-Winkle. Because of the things that she did to enhance criminal justice reform from the offices that we elected her to. When we elected her to county board president, up under her, she was in charge of the Cook County examiner's office. So she had the responsibility to make sure that the autopsy of Laquan McDonald reached the family and the public, in order for the community to come together and demand the release of the tape. And knowing that the former state's attorney, Nita Alvarez, was a state's attorney that needed to get out of that office because the voters weren't out of that office. She is one of the main supporters for Kim Foxx to become the state's attorney. They had a platform to help those that are wrongfully convicted. And we see the brothers coming out, black and brown, every day. That's criminal justice reform. Then, by President Tony Preckwinkle being, what can I say, being a committeeman of the Fourth Ward, her peers, other committeemen, made a decision that she should become the chairman of the Cook County Democratic Party. Caller, I see you. Could you please state your name and voice your opinion? Caller? Caller?
My name is Johnny. I love you.
Hey, young lady, how you doing?
I love the word.
Talk to me. How you feel about Congressman Rush
I said,
coming out for a daily? You got a comment? Okay, I see that was a caller just wanted to sing. I think he thought it was an audition. That's Soul Train. This is the Bradley Report. Callers, if you're watching and you have a phone, could you share your opinion about Congressman Rush endorsing Bill Daley to become mayor? Could you share your opinion about who you feel will be the best person to be in charge of making sure that that consent decree is being properly administered? Who you feel will be the right person? What's your opinion? To be in charge of helping to push the negotiation of the Fraternal Order of Police contract that's coming up. And just like Reverend Hunter was just eloquently stating, to lead the charge of elected people that represent us, to lead the charge to ask our representatives and state senators to help come up with legislation to change that police act. Caller, could you please state your name?
My name is Michael, and I'm from, the hood, and I remember exactly what you're talking about when Bobby Rush was, doing his thing with the brothers, and how could he dare, vote for Daley, and Daley was getting ready to try to have him killed. What kind of sense do that make?
I'm giving a feedback from your TV. About to turn your TV down a little bit, but I'm trying to figure that out. He got a right to do what he wants to do. We all have a right to do what we want to do, and sometimes what we want to do can harm a lot of people. And what I mean by that, there's a lot of people that look to his leadership because of the sacrifices that he has given over the years, over the decades, fighting against corrupt officers, fighting against the Dailies for sure. That's what made him run for office. You see what I'm saying? It's like, when I see what Dorothy Brown did, and she had a right to do what she wanted to do, she endorsed the young lady, I don't want to mess her name up, but she's running for mayor. And I saw that endorsement as an endorsement of an elder, using the knowledge that she have to help educate her to keep moving forward for the millennial generation of leaders that's going to come. You follow what I'm saying? Because I was seeing where there was a bunch of millennial leaders that were saying that they didn't want to listen to an elder. So for Dorothy Brown to say, hey, I'd rather give my knowledge to this young person is tantamount and understandable. But young leaders understand that you do not want to take a chance like we did 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Same players. Bobby Rush won the players 30 years ago. And we talk about Harold Washington. We love Harold Washington. Well, the action of our community made it where Daley was able to do the last 2 years of Harold Washington's term. Here we are 30 years later. And when you see where Mendoza was talking all that talk, and then they come to find out that she was tied in with everybody, so Elise and everything coming out now, and she talking about she went and hired Dan Webb to come help her with an ethics piece. Well, Dan Webb was the same person that Rob picked to try to explain the cover-up of the officers that was covering up for the Daley's nephew. They got into an altercation with a guy on Rush Street, and the young guy got killed. And Daley's nephew ended up doing 6 months at a county jail. At a county jail. And it's my understanding that so that the county won't have to pay for his stay, he paid for the stay himself. You follow what I'm saying? So this election is serious. Don't waste your vote. Look at all the candidates and weigh out who's the strongest, who has the outreach, who has the power to implement criminal justice reform, because they have started it. And when I see business leaders, elected officials, I know y'all gonna be mad at me, but I said the same thing when y'all try to convince our community that Chris Kennedy should be the governor because y'all was selling to the people. Congressman Rush and them was. Same crew was selling to the people, knowing full well that the Kennedys wasn't a friend to King. So I'll find the White House tape where the President John Kennedy told his brother Robert Kennedy he didn't want King nowhere around him. And then they had J. Edgar Hoover to do what he did to King.
Yeah.
This is our history. So we can't let no one erase that truth of our history, because we won't be able to tell our kids.
So right.
And if we sit here and let them suppress the black vote like they doing it, and Daley slide in there, Bill Daley ain't did nothing for us and our communities. He didn't come out and say, Brother Daley, you're wrong, covering up the police torture. He didn't come out and say, hey, our dad was wrong when he had something to do with the killing of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. He didn't come out and say to Chicago, I'm sorry that my brother robbed the city. He come out and say if he get in, he gonna make sure that his family don't do it again. Come on.
Man. Yeah, that's right, bro.
So all you brothers that's ex-felons, you better put your vote with an individual that's talking about criminal justice reform and acting on it. She was responsible for helping Kim to become the state's attorney that's helping to free those brothers that's been wrongfully convicted because they was tortured by John Burge now.
I know all them brothers.
Right, you know what I mean? So it's just, hey man, this is what we got to do. We don't do nothing else, man. Or our babies they gonna pay for it, man.
Right, that's right, that's right.
They gonna pay for it. They don't know the songs, We Shall Overcome. They don't know about the Rosa Parks. Steve Harvey had to do a show today where he let everybody know that there was someone else, a young lady, that had sat on the bus first and said she wasn't going to the back of the bus before Rosa Parks. So you got those that know about Rosa Parks. You know what the young adults are saying? That was them. We don't know nothing about that. We don't care nothing about that. We tired of our old people trying to tell us something. We the only race that let everybody outside of our race convince our children not to listen to their elders.
That's right. And I was just trying to tell my grandson, you need to come here and listen to this here, brother, because, you know, this is what's happening to all of the young brothers nowadays. I mean, they getting 2 for 1.
Right. Hey, man, check this here. You see how fast the federal government came in and indicted or arrested that brother that was threatening Van Dyke's life on social media?
Right.
Wasn't no 3-month investigation. Wasn't no month investigation. But they tell us that they can't. You got young brothers on YouTube and Facebook Live with guns talking about they're going to kill Henry, Mary, Larry, Jerry, Bobby, and all that type of stuff. And you going to tell us that they can't go get them when they show their intention on the YouTube. We as the people, brother, you know it, we get locked up for what somebody else say our intentions were.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm just saying, be an educated voter. Because this election, during Black History Month, February 26, if you make the mistake talking you mad at Tony because he had a sugar tax. Well, did you realize because she didn't get the sugar tax, do you realize how many people got laid off or fired that was working for the county to help provide the services to you because they couldn't get the revenue to pay them? And when you ask all of them that's running, that's talking about they ain't going to come up with no taxes, where you going to get the revenue from?
I don't know, brother, you know.
So all that I'm saying, that's why I let everybody know this is an opinionated show. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and on this show is going to be respected and honored. I'm just saying, man, if we don't do what we supposed to do, I'm 66, so I may not even see my son, my great-grandson, become 19.
Yes, that's right.
But I know that they find all kind of plans to try to put him in the Audi home, to put him in that motherfucking system. Excuse my vernacular.
Man.
Excuse my vernacular.
Yep.
I know it because I went through it, man.
I know.
When Martin Luther King got killed,
Mm-hmm.
me and my partners was going to Morgan Park High School, and they had they had a white gang, the slick heads or something, whatever they called them, and we got to fighting. I was upset. We was upset because Martin got killed. Okay.
We all was upset.
So threw the guy over the railing, come back to school. I didn't know nothing about the mob action. I was caught up in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I got locked up and went to the Audi home for mob action.
Beginning right there.
And I learned, you know how I go, how to survive.
Oh, yeah.
Went from the Arty home to the county jail to the penitentiary.
That's right.
Today, I've been out to join 40-something years. I've had a pardon from a governor for 25 years, not because I didn't commit the crime, but because of the work I put back in the community to make what other individuals don't have to go through what I went through, man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And I'm telling everybody, put it in your family's head that you got to be civically inclined in order to change your mind from criminal activity. And it starts with you becoming a registered voter. Then you got to be an educated voter. And don't let nobody come at your vote talking about black. They realize this. If me and you was in the room, and it's 10 people, 5 with me, 5 with you, and we trying to get out the room, and you saying, here's the sign that say exit, go down the stairs. And then there's somebody in the room say, man, if we can just get you and Gator to come together, not knowing that I'm paid not to come together so that nobody will get out the room. Instead of them doing what's right, is listening to the individual who happened to be the only one in the room that can read and read the sign that said exit, go downstairs. That's how they got us, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right, bro.
So I ain't mad at what Dorothy Brown did with her endorsement. I see it as an elder raising a young generation on how to become educated voters. You know, so on that note, brother, hey, man, I'm glad you called because I feel you, man. And I know
Oh,
you.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I get.
You know, and like I say, man, yeah, man, that's the business, man. So while we watching the Super Bowl game, when we got the 40 ounce or whatever, you know, we sitting there, you know, kick it with them, let them know, man, this y'all change because they making a plan. And if you think, picture a daily having the say-so over the administration of that decree and the power to make the decision on how that fraternal order police contract is going to be made, man, that's hell in its pure essence.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, I see it's time for me to wrap it up. But family, hey, man, I feel you. I'm glad you called, man. I'm glad you called, man.
Man, keep on doing what you're doing, man, and I'm behind you 100%, bro.
Oh, hey, man, I know.
And to talk to these young brothers out here and trying to give them all the knowledge I can. But, you know, it's hard because they won't listen. They won't listen to their elders.
Right. But, you know, it's like this. We was young, too. That's what they missed.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a lot of elders that was trying to tell us
That's
the
right.
right thing. And sometimes we had to get our head bumped to learn. Because had I listened, I wanted to throw that guy over the railing.
That's right. That's right. You know, but you got to, you know, listen, you know, and learn.
Yeah.
You know?
Look, listen, and learn. That's it, man.
That's right.
That's it.
You know.
That's it. Hey, so I want to just say this. It's important. This February 1st, Black History Month, the beginning of it. And I want to say this on this note. I may seem biased, but I know that Tony Prattwinkle broke the glass ceiling. County Board President, and now the chairman of the Cook County Democratic Party. And there's been only one other mayor that was the chairman of the Cook County Democratic Party and the mayor. And you know what that was? Daley.
Okay.
So that's why we got to come out and vote. Put that black woman on in there, and you seeing black women coming into power all across this country. They need to come into power in the city of Chicago. With that, I want to say, to God be the glory. And I thank y'all for listening. And you got a right to vote for who you want to vote for. But understand the consequences from your votes. So, it look like I may have a caller coming on. So caller, could you please state your name? Okay. With that, I want to say to God be the glory. Everybody, love your children, protect your children, and don't let them get caught up, because you got individuals out here that's dealing in human trafficking. They grab these young girls and young boys off these corners on their way to school, on their way from school. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening, watching, and when it come up on YouTube, I will be sharing it with you. To God be the glory. Get out there and vote. Don't choke. And vote for Tony Preckwinkle for mayor.